have been trying to contact RJ.
Streaming is on.
I have been trying to contact RJ, but he's not. Think he's pretty busy right now, and it really requires some of his um, process knowledge, because there's some process that is syncing up wrongfully. The What happens is that I identify the pledges that still have money, and the owner is the common stack campaign. But what happens is that when I fix the records on the Mogo database, because they are not synced correctly, there is another process that probably has a bug that is returning them to zero for some reason. And and I mean, the money is there. The pledge owner is the campaign. It still has funds, but on the Mongo database it says that it's not. And what I did is I modified the records on the Mongo database just to coordinate them with the contract, but it's not doing it. I mean, it's okay for a while, like for 6 hours kind of thing, and then something happens, and it restores back everything that was changed.
Wow.
I think at this point it will be easier if, like, for we can just redonate the exact amount to the campaign somehow, and that will put everything back to sync. I think it will kind of affect the CSV lines, of course, but I don't. I think we're investing a lot of time into this, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not.
that's fair. And do you think it's worth trying to get RJ involved?
Well, certainly if he knows any process that can actually just I think he might be familiar with a syncing process that happens on feathers that just uh, tries to sync with the contracts, but it's actually not doing that. It's actually doing a lot of crazy things, and it's just not syncing with the contracts. It's doing like returns, and I don't truly understand what is happening on that.
Okay. Well, I can definitely. Well, this is the thing. So you sounded like you had another solution, which was redonating to the campaigns.
Yeah, I know the exact amount that is missing, so we can just sync it that way,
Would
and
it?
that will allow.
Wait,
Yeah.
how would I? So how would that work exactly, though? Like, where would the money? Can you get the money out of the campaign by moving specific pledges?
Yeah, I think what we can do is, well, basically the campaign owner is the only one that can transfer the pledge. So on the contract, we can transfer any pledge from owner. We can change the ownership from a pledge, and for example, what can happen is we can change those pledges to the campaign owner. Then the campaign owner redonates the money in that state.
Okay. So we would effectively take the pledges out of the system
Mm-hmm.
using just like Etherscan,
Kind
pretty
of
much,
thing, yeah.
or like using just on the back, not using any kind of front end, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we would redonate all that stuff, and all of that would happen on Rinkeby.
Well, the pledges ownership that will happen on Rinkeby. The redonation it needs to happen on mainnet, because um, well, what happens is that the campaign owner needs to collect uh, that that money and then
Yeah.
redonate to the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That would kind of screw up some things
Yeah.
that we have going for the common stack. Hmm.
We
How
can
do we do
still
that?
we can still look into the into what is causing the mix up on the records, but it's an extensive base, and it will be 100 times faster if RJ or maybe Wojtek can guide into this.
So, the if do you think that if you had RJ's attention for like 20 minutes, a half an hour, you might be able to fix it?
I think certainly I think only the only thing I need is I need to know what is the syncing process that happens after a little while on the on feathers that reverts all the changes from the Mongo database, and it's not syncing with the contracts. So there is a weird process that is not a sync. It's like an update, but I don't know what is the parameters are.
Yeah, I
Huh,
mean, go ahead. I mean,
yeah, yeah. Andrew, can I ask?
Mhm.
There is a point I want to be clarified.
Yes.
Um, uh, I think I wrote the code somehow for Feather. It reprocess even after you redeploy the Feather on the server, yes, and it again update everything based on the event. I mean, every time we redeploy the project, maybe we clear the database, and it
Yeah.
again process all the events and create the new database and update the database. Yes.
Yes. That's yes.
Yeah. Where are the events stored? They are another collection in the Mongo. Yeah.
Uh, yes. Well, the events are handled with a watcher on the contracts throw the events, and the watcher just catches them, and they are stored in another collection. Yes.
Uh, I mean, did you? I want to make it more clear. Actually, I think it's my assumption that we every time we clear all the collection except event, and the feather again process all the events and recreate all the collection. What if it's true? Can we delete events related to that? Um, the events that makes the problem makes the uh, multiple payment, multiple donation. Can we do that?
Yeah. Well, I think maybe what I understood is that maybe you're suggesting like we can create events that maybe the events are causing this kind of issue.
I mean,
Yeah,
it can't be the events like the actual events on the blockchain because the pledges are there, so the events didn't happen, right? But there might be some kind of recording of the events that
Yeah.
MongoDB is looking at.
That I think that can be possible. I haven't thought about it. Maybe there is like a conflicting events. Um,
Or a recording of the events because I mean the events wouldn't be admitted if the pledges don't move. I mean that's the magic of blockchain, right? Like it only happens if it happens. So
yeah.
um,
Okay.
so
well, but I'm gonna either way. I'm gonna contact Art. I'm halfway through contacting RJ, and I'll see if he can connect with you on Riot.
Yeah, that will be awesome. Anytime. If he can fix me like 15 minutes, that's all we need. But I think that's an interesting one. Like to look at. I mean, the events. I'm not sure if there's a process. Like if you saw a process before that syncs the events, that would be.
on my
Mhm.
experiments, once I deleted one collection,
Yeah.
I cannot remember what was that. maybe milestone or campaign. I don't know, but I just modified that database, that collection, not events, and I saw that the collection filled again with the previous data that I wanted to delete. So I assume that the source of events are what events are stored in Mongo.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that the feather fetch all the data from blockchain again. Yeah.
Yeah, at some point it retrieves, it does some syncing process at some point, but it doesn't seem to be happening uh, after the events are logged, probably. So that could be like that. What can be happening is that the events on are not matching the contracts, and it's not looking at pledges, but it's looking only at events, and that could be the problem.
Source of events are only blockchain, not the data. Why we are, if that's true, why we are storing events on Mongo on
Well,
database?
I'm not sure. I mean, well, we should be storing like, um, I mean, we should check once in a while, like if these events are correct, things like that. But I think it's just storing the events for just knowing what went where, when, that kind of thing.
I mean, maybe we have incorrect events on database that
That is
causes a
possible.
problem.
Yes, that is a great idea. Um, Maybe we can sit for after this call if you want. I mean, we can take a look at it and see if we can come up
Sure,
with something.
sure, yeah.
And maybe RJ can join us if we don't find anything. But
That would
okay,
be great.
um, I
Yeah.
think that is some of the priorities this week. Also, another one was, I have it. Let me take it.
Well, another. I mean, just while we're pausing, I
Yeah.
see James is here.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the party. Did you have an agenda topic that you wanted to cover?
You're asking me, Griff?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually in a car, so I can't talk too much. But I'm just listening in, and yeah, I mean, essentially, I've been looking at one bug, or it's not a bug; it's a feature request to set the default currency. Um, yeah, for donations, and yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say I didn't get a chance to do a pull request on that, but. I've pretty much done the change, but that's about it. Yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to look at Giveth this week at all. So yeah, I'm
Oh,
just here just to keep up to date, basically. Yeah,
cool, man. Thanks so much for joining the meeting. That's really
sweet.
nice.
No sweat, no sweat. All good. Nice.
Well, then the other two awesome people who decided to join the meeting, Bowen and Kai. Although it looks like Bowen might. Oh yeah, there he is. There was one of the other major feature requests we hope to get done is making it so DAOs can interact with the DApp.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, according to JV Luso, it's in the next release for signatures to work, which means that we won't have to pull signatures out of Giveth to make it operational. Evidently, it's already done in one of the PRs that they have put up there, but I don't know that I can actually compile the application to run it natively on my machine because I've never done it before because it's actually a standalone app and not just like a web app.
Yeah.
So being that that's the case, I might have to wait for them to put something out.
Do you know when do you know
I
what the
asked for an
release
ETA.
schedule is? Yeah.
I asked for an ETA and they haven't responded yet.
Okay.
I mean, I can probe a little bit further, but it was kind of cool to see Jorge like responding to my tweets and stuff. So like, we're on the radar. They know what's up.
Cool.
And they're also happy to sort of make that integration work with my crypto as well. So that's like, it's a cool little synergistic thing that's happening there with it. If everything goes according to plan in the next couple of versions of Frame, there's going to be, it'll work with us and it'll work with them, and it will do extra stuff that it doesn't do right now.
Is there like anything else that we would need to do, do you guys think, that you can predict that will get in the way?
Not to make it work, but to make it a little bit more feature robust. It might, we could add a little thing, like kind of a modal that would prop up and wait for the transaction to be mined, so it was able to tell you where to find the vote. I have the code, sort of the code snippet, in order to derive the vote from the transaction hash. So as soon as the chain responds with the transaction hash of whatever it was that you just tried to do, we can have it point at the Aragon DAO vote page directly. And eventually, like, what I would like to see is like DApp Mailer to be integrated with the actual Aragon DAO itself. So whenever a vote is generated, everybody that has a token is sent an email to let them know that a vote is taking place. So that, in the same way that when we have something donated to one of our campaigns, we'll get an email. But it would work the same way within the DAO, which would be on the Aragon side, I understand, but I'm just saying that the code's already there and it can probably get bolted in. As long as there's it's done as a plugin or a feature. Anyway, in any case, to make it work, no extra effort will be required. To make it work in a cool way, there will be some effort required, but the proof of concept will be there.
Okay, cool. Cool. Well, let's see. Is there any other GitHub issues that we should cover?
I think that is the top three. Also, the last meeting we came up. Well, the root cause of this issue that is causing the 30K issue was because we're missing some checks before creating the records on Mongo and processing things like that. So we're missing atomic transactions on the MongoDB side. We of course have atomic transactions on the contract and on the blockchain, but when an error is generated, for example, there's a low connectivity and it processes one time the donation and it's not connecting, so it reprocesses again and reprocesses again. That is a big issue that caused this. And what we want to do is also we want to work on atomic transaction prevention for this kind of situations, at least for the core usages of the dApp, like donating, delegating, things like that. Those things don't need to create double records or don't need to create double milestones. Those things like that are being caused by the same problem, and I think we can just tackle that with the same prevention system. But that is something we are living at the last prioritization. I think we should attack this 3 first, and then we can just move on to just refine and solidify those processes.
Cool.
I don't know if you guys want to mention another one. I don't want to raise up an issue that is not the focus right now, so we don't get mixed up.
Let's see.
We have some on the new issues, and I saw some of yours, Griff,
most of mine today were just like, I just wanted to write it down, but they're not really. They're not
Yeah,
really.
of course. If we finish early, which I think it might happen, we should tackle all these situations, of course.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always. I mean, there's always some stuff in the, in the backlog, right? What's the status of DAP Lions donate directly to an address?
Oh yeah, well he updated the well he hasn't updated the pull request, but I think you made a feedback on the button. Hold on, I don't know the pull requests. Yeah, so you responded with the feedback. He hasn't updated the pull request. I think it's just about changing the name. And you mentioned that anyone can deploy this contract. So Dablion, I think if I'll talk to him if he's okay deploying the contract for the funds forwarder, and after that we should be able to just integrate it, and it looks okay. I tested it.
Nice. Is it working on any of the other deployments like develop or release?
Well, not yet, because we are trying to. I mean, I just tested the funds forwarder, just deploying the contract and just looking at it, but the core,
Well,
like,
cool.
I need,
I'm just really excited about it. So wanted this for a long, long time.
yeah, it's happening.
Yeah. I mean, it's another way that makes it really easy for a DAO to just donate to a campaign. Like
Yeah, it's directly to an address. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
one question. It's very awesome, but should it be called deploy funds forwarder? Because
no.
it's enable this campaign to receive funds, from outside. I don't know how to call it better, but
I think it's create a donation address is what I
something.
I made a comment on it to that effect as well. I think.
All right, you did.
Okay. I think so. I hope so. Too often, man, I write a comment and then like skip out on the tab and it never comes back.
and it's still there on the draft.
Yeah, exactly.
Happens.
Oh, that's the CSV one. Cool. I do remember the CSV wasn't quite working for the common stack either.
Wasn't working, or was it?
Well, it originally popped out like the wrong numbers.
Oh yes, I saw that. I uploaded a fix. Let me see if it's on. I think I uploaded that to beta. So if you download the CSV file, it should have. Looks like the numbers are okay now, or not. 1.6. I'll take a look. I uploaded a fix exactly for that. It's just that the numbers are all strange. What's happening is that I divided. I failed at math there, but what happened is that there is this amount that is 18 decimals and the decimals. So we have the token decimals and the amount of the donation. What I did is I took the amount and I divided by the decimals, and that's not the way to do it. I need to multiply that by 10 and elevate that to the 18, and that you divide the amount by that. So you take out the zeros. I uploaded the fix.
There's also just like, I don't know, it seems like there's like 2040 is the first donation, but it was actually 2000.
Yeah, I think I'm still when I finish the whole implementation, like delegations and collections, I'm implementing a system that it reorders by date, because it's not ordered by date right now. I think it's ordered by another factor, so it might
Well,
be.
it's not the order though. It's just like there's I mean the donation. It's really weird, but just some of the donations have like a different amount than what they should. And I don't think it's all of them. I think it's like half of them.
That's very strange. Should I take a look at it?
It's maybe, I mean, maybe this has something to do with I don't know, probably not, but yeah, you know, I swear to God, man, sometimes some campaigns are just duds, and I don't know why that is. Like the Telegraph campaign just gave us constant trouble, and now the Common Stack, like a very important campaign, sadly, seems like it's a dud. Like it is constantly causing issues. I'm like not really telling all the Common Stack guys right now that there's, I don't know. Do you know how much money is missing exactly?
Well, yeah, I have the exact amount, but
Is it 20,000? Is it 19?
last time, yeah, it's 19.
19,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time I checked.
Okay, that's good. That's also what I thought it was. So, but like the fact that I have to guess, this is really bad, man.
Yeah, it's
so
not good.
no, it's really bad. So like, and I haven't really told people that like basically, you know, I can't pay all of the bills right now in the Common Stack purely because of a Giveth bug. You know, like I'm keeping this 10K buffer and not paying Lorelei and myself because like if I do, I worry we might not be able to pay future bills.
Yeah. No, we definitely need to. Me and Amin, I think if he's able, we will take a look at his suggestion. I think it's very interesting. If we find something there, we might be able to just fix it right now. Hopefully.
And I also wonder, like, if this is the only campaign that has this issue, or if the only reason we know it is because it's $19,000. You know, like.
Yeah, no, this is definitely the only one. What happened is that I think there was a Chris milestone, and it just like for some reason it duplicated 93 times the donation. So that was crazy. I don't know.
93 times.
93 times. I don't know how that happened. That has never happened, and yeah, that's why we are suggesting like to implement some atomic transaction system to just get rid of these situations.
What's up, Amin?
Yeah, I want to say that recently I have to occupied with front-end staff. If you agree, me and Andre have separate meetings to discuss this and both work on this bugs, and maybe I become more involved in backend in blockchain part, in the MongoDB in part, to maybe we can solve it because it's somehow emergency right now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that will be awesome.
Yeah. So I think we should have a separate meeting, me too, to discuss it more separately. I should get more your knowledge because I did need to have deeper knowledge and better understanding. The code is not well documented. It doesn't have comments because for one reason I want to retrace the code for myself to know how the events are working. If it was in TypeScript, I mentioned sometimes it was more readable, but right now everything JavaScript, the maybe we can move forward to TypeScript if it's continued. I hope. So, oh, you agree? I will schedule with you some meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. If we hopefully we can do something very soon. Right now, like right.
Okay.
Well, I have another issue that I
Mhm.
see is kind of important.
Yes,
It's 1027.
1027.
Issue 1027. Direct donations don't work for milestones that donate 3% to a DAC. So what happens?
Oh yes.
And
Okay.
I made a little video of the behavior, but basically you send a donation and you can delegate it and it seems to work. But when you donate directly to a milestone that donates 3% to a DAC, it asks you to just donate to the DAC directly, and then
Yeah.
it doesn't ask you to donate to the milestone.
Yeah.
This kind of that part. So they actually had an $18,000 milestone, and when someone tried to donate directly to it, they donated to the Giveth DAC, and then it didn't go in at all. So they
Yeah.
so then they tried it again, and again they donated like 3% twice. The Giveth DAC.
That's great, but that's nothing to.
Is it a bug or a feature? I'm not sure, but
No, I mean, yeah, I think there's a. I think I referred this issue with the Mint. I think we have been modifying how the amounts work for rounding, because sometimes it's just not matching on feathers and they're causing problems. I think it could be related to some modifications that we did recently. I'll take a look at it and see if we can. I think that should be an easy fix. So
yeah, I
I'll
think
take a
it'll
look
be
at it.
fixed as well. I'm going to add it to sprint backlog.
Yeah, or just like in progress.
Okay, in
Like
progress.
that. But yeah, this is.
Sounds good. Yeah, because it's a pretty big one. I made it right, and we fixed it by going to Etherscan and donating directly to it.
To the but it should be more easier.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
but
mhm.
yeah. There was there. Have you talked much with what's his name?
Yeah, Jurek.
Zurich. Yeah, Zurich from Brisbane.
Yeah, he. Well, we have been in touch. He contacted me recently, asked me something that he was trying to understand on the structure. I responded to him very briefly, and I invited him if he, because it was a pretty extensive subject. I refer him to if we would love to him to join in that meeting, but at his time is like 12 1 a.m. and he sleeps very early, so.
I'm going to see him next week.
Oh, okay.
Because it's midnight here. It's 12:40 a.m. here. But
Yeah.
I'm willing to stay up for it. You know. But he's in Chiang Mai and I'll be in Chiang Mai, and so we're gonna meet up. So if there's any, it's a good week to ping him and get him going.
That's
on anything.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the question that he had was purely about the structure, like how the campaigns communicate with each other, the milestones, like where the bridge. Of course, he has some questions. Basically, the whole spectrum of the data flow, things like that. And I think that should be a pretty good subject. Like so much questions. But of course, if he has more questions, I will be able to respond.
Okay.
Guys, this is James here. If there's calls like that happening, I would love to be a part of that. Also, I'm just wondering, like, if Andre is going to, you know, transfer some knowledge to Min now regarding this CSV issue. I mean, I wouldn't mind being a silent observer in the background if that wouldn't get in the way. I mean, like any of these opportunities that there is to figure out how Giveth works better, I would love to be a part of. So maybe you can just keep that in mind.
Yeah, no
for next
worries.
time.
I'll coordinate with the men, and of course I'll invite you. I'll let you know when. I'm hoping we can do this like in 1 hour, but probably it's like a little late. I don't know. But of course I will
Okay.
invite you three, and we can coordinate.
Well,
Cool. Nice.
are there any other issues that we want to talk about, or do you guys want to get started on that? Like Kai, I know you're there. Did you want to talk Giveth 2.0 or anything, or?
No, I think it's nice if everybody can go to work on the back end. That's pretty cool. No updates since Friday, anyway.
Okay.
It's great.
Yeah. Have you heard much from Rafa, Andre, about?
Well, yeah, he hasn't been on the. I think he has been like up and down, moving, a little busy, but he hasn't arrived on the office. I think but I haven't. I think he was the last thing I heard. He was waiting for. I think he mentioned that he was trying to get involved into the funding part and things like that, strategy. But I'm not sure what has been.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll reach out to him and check in.
Yeah, he hasn't updated me yet.
Cool. Well, one last chance. Are there any issues that anyone's working on, or any that when you guys see it that we should look at, or should we just dive back into the back end? Maybe we'll give it like a 20 seconds of like awkward silence if no one has any other issues.
I think everything is an in progress tab. So
Okay, cool.
so let's
Back end it is.
yeah, let's just go ahead and well, if everyone wants to, I think that's the end of the call. We're gonna just do this, try to get this back end sorted. If anyone wants to keep on the meeting, that's fine. But if not, thank you guys for your time.
Awesome. I'll let you guys know as soon as I know anything about Frame.
Perfect. Thank you, Bowen.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks, guys.
Guys.
Thanks.
Oh,
Sure.
so I mean, I think you mentioned the events. That's super interesting. I'll I'll try to get to see. I'm right now on the database, and we have the events collection, of course. But I'm trying to think. So I don't know if you have been following this issue. I mean, is the 10:05?
10:05.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
I think it's loading. It's stuck. It's kind of stuck right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Problem. Okay. I just have a few questions. If you can, allow me to ask at the first in front. Yeah. Just let's consider the scenario. I do withdraw. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. By clicking on the button, I'm running a smart contract. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So you withdraw, and what happens next?
Yeah. What happened on the back at the on the application?
Oh,
What is
when
there?
you withdraw, you are
Yeah.
actually well, Feathers just gets all the pledges, and it writes like a value for the transaction. Then it sends a transaction that is, I think, M withdraw on the contract. You're calling a withdraw function that receives parameters like the pledges that you're withdrawing and things like that. Well, just the idea of the
So
campaign, I think. Yeah, the milestone, the milestone.
yeah. So actually, so what Feathers do is it's preparing for me some contracts to do. Yeah, some contract to run. Actually, I accept by I run a contract, and after the contract is finished, it sent an event to Feather. Yeah.
Yes, it's I think the withdraw event, and that lets Feathers that it has been collected.
You know, the event is triggered by me or by blockchain. The question is.
Well, the blockchain triggers the event when the transaction, um, basically the contract, it's defining that it throws an event if it's a success. So it needs to be a success in order to throw the event. So what happens is that it's processing the withdraw, and after the withdraw is success, it throws the event. And
Yeah.
if the transaction is successful, it throws the event at the end.
So Feather is listening to events from the smart contract. Yeah.
That is correct. Yes.
So we are not triggering any events from our customer application from our web application on the Feather. Actually, it's the blockchain. It's the Ethereum that doing the events. Yes.
That is the yes. That is correct.
So the low connectivity problem is the problem between Feather and Ethereum, not me, not us, because we want to implement some atomic transactions, but I think it's not the user that doing the transactions. Actually, blockchain and Feathers are these two are doing the transaction.
Blockchain and Feathers. Uh, yeah, I think as you mentioned, like I think the problem is just like a little mismatch on the Feathers processing part, and it just made some records that were not supposed to go in.
So we have not to do anything with the front end. We don't know do anything with the yeah. We are just be focused on the Feather.
Talking specifically about this issue, the only thing about the front end is that the front end cost could be the reason that caused this issue, because what happens is that it connects via sockets. So when the socket is in low connectivity, it actually, it's not like an HTTP request that it just sends it and you're waiting for a response. The socket is like trying to communicate constantly, and when you have low connectivity, it sends the request multiple times. So that could be the cause of our initial problem, but that it doesn't throw any events. It's not causing the issue right now. What is causing the issue right now is probably the MongoDB that is showing wrongfully the values.
You know, I mean that you're correct. Maybe WebSocket makes some problem when there is low connectivity, and it may send one request multiple times.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be correct. But certainly, I think that it doesn't change anything in database. Does it do?
Basically, for some reason, I think that's one of the problems, that we don't have the atomic transactions on the Mongo, because it sends what happens is that it sends the request and it processes it doesn't wait for the transaction to go successful. So what it does is just it processes the request, it writes Mongo, and then it waits for the transaction.
What does it write in the database? For example, on Vidra case, what further writes on database?
Well,
when I send a request, for example, let's consider we are in this step. I at the application push the button, put it on Vidra. I submit that. I confirm. I submit that. I send a request to Feather.
Yeah.
I send a request to Feather, and actually, what at this step before I do the transaction on MetaMask, what is changing on database? It's my question.
On the withdraw side, I think it's just changing the status of your donations. But I think in this specific case, it's not about the withdraw. In this specific case, it was about a delegation. That when a delegation happens on low connectivity, it gets repeated, and it creates. What happened is that Feathers thinks that there was
multiple requests.
Yeah, there was like 19,000 delegated to a milestone, and of course on the contract that didn't happen. That was because there was no way for that to happen, and the contract is okay, but the MongoDB now is corrupted with this data that 19,000 went to a milestone, and that's why it thinks that the campaign has less money. But
so
our assumption could be that the events are conflicting on that, right?
Can you explain the last one again? It's about delegation. It sends a request multiple times, and it makes multiple donations to be committed on the milestone.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So how we should prevent user from submitting multiple? Okay, that's more clear. So
yeah, that's something we need to work on the near future. But I think very specifically to this issue, I think what happened is that taking your theory on this specific case was that it created the events of the delegation multiple times as well. So that's bad. That's
so because it's so important, I'm asking it again. Every time you redeploy new version, actually, you don't change database at all.
When you delegate,
no, you redeploy the DApp and Feather. Do you clean database?
No. We're not clearing the database every deploy because there is on the contracts. It's not everything stored. I think that for example, some images or the receipts, things like that, those are stored on Mongo, as you saw. I think the receipts are stored in base64, as we discussed before.
They should be moved to IPFS, yeah?
I think it should be moved to IPFS. I think we already spoke about that. But things like that, like the images and certain specific attributes of every, it will not come back after a sync. Like if you delete the Mongo database, probably some of the things like this base64 proof items will get lost, and it will
Yeah.
be probably a little bit of a mess.
So as I remember, because once you redeployed the new version of Feather, and you mentioned that at that time that it will take some amount of time, about, I don't know, 30 minutes. I cannot remember the time. Why? What's the delay for? Why we have some delay in bringing up the server again?
In what specific case we have a delay?
I cannot remember. Sometimes I know I remember that it used. So typically when you redeploy a new version of Feather or the app, it will be immediately available. Immediately available.
Oh yeah, well, that's basically the delay we have bringing it back in. It's just the time that it takes for updating. It's just it's probably me trying to just doing a git pull on the server. So what we have is just the
Oh.
server, and I'm just killing the process, pulling the latest changes, and just starting the server again. That's what.
Oh. Wow.
But
Great.
we don't have a delay on. We should not have a delay on.
Oh, great. Awesome. So interesting. So interesting and more clear for me. Thank you.
So great.
Great. So actually, for this case of 30K, do you
Yeah.
think that events are just on the manga, and there is nothing with blockchain, with Ethereum, and if we can delete them from database, we can.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's it. I think I can share. I'm not sure if I can share. I think I can share my screen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Guys, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to slow you down, but I just want to. I think you can just clarify this for me quickly. So, like, there's a delegation happening, and it is happening on the blockchain, and not. Sorry, you keep talking about events, right? Like, are these events are coming from the blockchain, or where are these events coming from?
Yes, that's correct. The events
So-
coming from the
So
blockchain.
a delegation happens through the front end, which then happens on the blockchain, which then creates events, which should then basically make something happen in MongoDB through Feathers. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, and so
Excuse me, does delegation happen on Angry? Excuse me, I think it was opposite. Do we, when we delegate, we do it on the blockchain?
Well, when we delegate, I think it needs to transfer the ownership of the pledges. We are not doing like an event, delegate event or things like that. I'm not sure if there's a delegate event, but
Yeah,
what is happening is just there is a pledge with money, like a donation, and it's just changing from the campaign to the milestone, and that's a delegation.
right.
I mean, because I don't see when we do pledge, because as I remember, we don't see a MetaMask window, you know, until
So when you delegate,
record.
you don't see MetaMask.
Yeah, I think I can recheck, but I think we don't see MetaMask, and that's the reason I think that it's not on the blockchain. Because if it was on blockchain, so the assumption that socket makes a problem cannot be applied again.
Well, what happens is that there is a curious part in the Feathers. Basically, all the milestones and all the campaigns are contracts. So each milestone and each campaign has a contract. And what happens when you delegate is that you're just when you're sending the request, if you're the campaign owner, the backend, Feathers just signs the transaction. So everything happens on the backend, like the transfer ownership from the pledges, things like that. And that's why maybe I'm not sure if it throws like a transaction. I think it does when you delegate. Um, uh, when you delegate, I think it's just creating a pending item for a delegation. But what happens next is that the person that donated that money needs to commit that donation. Do you remember that part? You're muted. I mean,
Yeah, I remember. I remember that.
so the commit actually creates the transaction, and that's when the delegation happens.
Yeah. Before that, everything's just on the Mongo, and it's
Yeah.
on the.
It's like a pending situation kind of thing.
I think the situation. I think that some donation first are donated to some DAC, and DAC delegate to campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this case, if the user can confirm the delegation and the actually campaign is charged with donation, and after that the user there is no need we don't need the user to confirm if the campaign wants to delegate to some milestone, have you seen that?
If I understand correctly, you're saying that it doesn't need a confirmation for it delegates directly, you said. Is that
I think it's happening. It's happened. Let's say, okay, you as a user delegate to some DAC, and DAC owner delegate to campaign, and you in this step, user should confirm.
yeah, well, there is like if you're the campaign owner or the DAC owner, you don't need to commit or anything like that, because it's you that if you made that if you have that money in your campaign or your DAC, you can delegate that money to, because it's on your campaign. So you can distribute this to any milestone on your campaign, or you can distribute to another campaign from your DAC, things like that. But I think if you're the campaign owner, you will need to make a transaction. I think I'm pretty sure it does. I'm gonna try it right now, but I'm not sure where. For example, if I delegate, hold on. So I'm gonna try to delegate. I think there are some pending milestones. Okay, so I'm gonna try to delegate.
Can I ask share the screen?
Yeah. Okay. So hold on.
Thank you.
Where do I? Okay. Where do I show my screen? Oh, share your screen. Okay.
Left corner, left down, left button.
Okay. Do you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I see.
Okay. So this is the app development campaign, and I'm looking for let's take a look. For example, this one, right? We're trying to delegate maybe just one die to here. And if you see, if you're the campaign owner, you need to sign this transaction here.
Yeah.
And then you confirm it. And because if you're the campaign owner, you need to sign the transaction in order for the pledges to move, things like that. Now it's pending and it's mining, and well, that was fast. But if you're not the campaign owner, it's like that kind of side. I just wanted to show you guys. I'm trying to take a look at. Well, let's take a look at this common stack campaign, right? What I was taking a look is that the events are ordered by transaction hash. So I remember this was the conflicting milestone. So what I'm doing is I'm just copying the milestone ID. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find this on the database.
You can use query.
Yeah.
Why you use query?
Yeah, but I don't remember it's campaign ID. No, it's mouse. I think it was milestone ID, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's ID.
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
ID.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at that. Milestone, and actually, I'm trying to take a look at the donations of this milestone. So I'm searching for owner type ID. And what I need is a transaction hash, because the transaction hash seems to be involved in the events section. So let me just confirm this on Etherscan. Search for a transaction. It was successful. Yep. So that's the transaction hash, right? Following the theory of min on the events, I think we can take a look at transaction hash. And we may find duplicated records like this ones. Payment collected, authorized payment, transfer. Oh, you guys. So I think
we have one transaction hash per milestone, per donation.
Yeah, it should, but I'm taking a look at this one, and it has two transfer events. If you see this, the same transaction hash has two transfer events, and I think both are the same.
I'm Andre.
Yeah.
Do you mind just quickly explaining, like, just quickly the flow of what's happening? Like, so essentially, like, there's a delegation from, say, for example, a DAC to a milestone, and so, like, what actually? Do you mind just quickly running through what happens? I'm sorry if you guys know this already. I just think I might be able to help if I can just understand correctly.
Yeah, no worries.
Like, where are the events coming from? Like, what happens basically?
Yeah, of course. Well, basically, just a little backstory on this issue, because this is an interesting issue to take a look at. I think it covers pretty much everything. Right. So what happened is that I think this is the campaign, common stack campaign, and this milestone was created. let's take this was the milestone that was created. So what happened is that when it was delegated, because we work on WebSockets, it actually processed this donation 93 times. So that's what happened. For example, let's say I am the campaign owner.
Yeah.
If I'm the campaign owner, I will see like a blue. Let's see if I can. Yeah, like this button. It will say like delegate funds here, but on the milestone.
Yeah.
And you just click that, and you select the amount that you want to delegate.
Right.
Basically, you want to. In this example, you just want to complete the amount that is requested on this milestone. In this case, it was an expense, and the campaign is delegating funds to this milestone, right? But what happens is that it created multiple events on the Mongo database.
Okay, start. Can I just stop you there? So
Yeah.
So first of all, there's a socket connection between the browser and the Giveth app, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And so the communication to the Feathers goes via the Giveth app, or there's separate communication between both.
Well, the Giveth app communicates with Feathers, with sockets.
Right. So
that's what happens. Yes.
So there's a socket connection between the browser and the Giveth app, and that fires off. That seems to work. And then the communication between the Giveth app and Feathers seems to work, right? Because this is actually working. Like the blockchain is correct. Is that the case?
Yeah. The connection between Feathers and the dApp, it's not interacting with. Well, sometimes the front end creates transactions, but also the Feathers creates transactions. So sometimes the communication doesn't really require communication with with the.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me just catch that really quick. I think it was quick sketch.
So I mean, like, what's done on the blockchain, like that happens through MetaMask. Is that the story?
What happened with the blockchain?
Like the blockchain part is done through MetaMask, and then like the communication to the Giveth app is through the socket. Is that the story? Is that how it would work? I'm just trying to like understand what could be the problem, and so like, is it that the browser seems to be connecting like directly to the blockchain with MetaMask, right?
Sometimes that's the key part.
And in this case, like
in this case, it was directly to the. But I think that's not. It will not be a relevant factor.
Okay.
The factor that when you delegate, it's calling a delegate function on Feathers. So yeah, imagine you have the dApp and it calls a function on Feathers, which is the backend, and the delegation function doesn't get called once, but gets called 93 times. So this delegate function, because it's not waiting for a successful transaction, because that is handled on the front end, right? So it just creates the record, and that was the problem. So it creates the records of the events, it creates the records of the donations, but since there is low connectivity, it creates that 93 times, and it's not. That's not what happened. Of course, it was only one transaction on the blockchain, and the database is just like got multiple requests, but we don't have a prevention for multiple requests on that case. So that was the issue. And what this caused is that it subtracted the total amount of this campaign. If we take a look at the current balance, it says that it is 11,340, right? But it's not. It's actually over 20. It's actually like 30 something.
Right.
And it's mismatching because of this situation, that it duplicated on the Mongo database and is not syncing back up with the blockchain. That's a little.
Okay.
So the amounts are still in pledge, and they are not moved to milestone, and the user has not collected them. Yeah.
The user has collected everything. Everything on the milestone side is fine. Everything is okay. So I think Chris received his money correctly. That's great. But what happened is that when I first took a look at this milestone, it has 93 of these ones. So 93 donations of 653.
Where there are 93?
Here, like on the donations section, there was 93 of these items. So
Here is just one.
Yeah,
Where
because I fixed it. But when I take a look at, if we take a look at here, hold on a second. Here, there was 93 records of this donations to this milestone. There was 93, and with the same transaction hash. So it had the same values, like all the same values, 93 times, and probably that could be causing that caused the issue on the.
I don't understand, and I don't want to slow you guys down.
No worries. I think it's a great time to
yeah.
for any questions.
Okay, so all right, so okay, so all right, okay, so this delegation happens. It goes to the first of all, it goes to the Giveth DApp, and then it goes to Feathers, right? And then it's written into the blockchain. And then this creates events. You're saying
that is what the scenario should be, but that's not how it is right now. What happens is that the delegation, if, for example, let's take this example. Let's go back a little bit. For example, let's imagine this is a conflicting, well, not this one, but this one that we already had $1, or we don't have $1. But you click on here, delegate funds here.
Right.
And this is what the campaigner was doing on the common stack. So if, for example, you want to delegate something,
yeah,
you click on delegate here.
Yeah.
And the moment you press confirm, it creates the event.
Right.
And that it's not waiting for a transaction to be successful or anything like that. It's just going to create the event that I delegated to this, even though the transaction fails.
Right.
So what's the transaction has number when it's created? It's after when the transaction hash value when it's computed before confirmation on the blockchain. It's available, yeah.
Yeah. So this I think the transaction hash is not available yet. So it could be two scenarios. It could be like it's creating the record and it's updating the transaction hash, or or it's just 93 times happening on the back end. So one of those two could be happening. Yes.
Actually, the transaction hash should be provided by the blockchain, not by the by Fedor.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so how how Fedor know that this events is for this transaction? I think when you click on the if you have some pending transaction on blockchain, you should have transaction hash. I think I assume that it should be in this way,
Ah, okay.
it doesn't need to be confirmed to have some transaction hash value.
Well, I think that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I think that could be. Yeah, so the value is provided by the front end, the transaction hash, pending transaction hash, and it just goes into the backend, but it's not completed, right?
Yeah, I assume that when you because we have multiple requests, because low connectivity and we have socket with socket, we create multiple records, and when but feathers just get one notification from blockchain, and when it see the notification, actually it updates all the 93 records on the database, and all of them become uh, paid in paid status. So
Uh,
maybe it's maybe the cows.
well, it was not paid on the when the problem happened. It was just committed. So there was 93 committed records,
To
but
this day.
they weren't paid. They sorry.
Oh, okay, just one of them are paid. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was after the records were deleted on here. So, for example, there was 93 clones committed. It was a committed status of a donation. It has, I think, yeah. Here's the status. Um, but for example, there was 93 records committed, but none of them were paid. It was just deleted before they get paid. So none of them got paid. The section that is interesting is the one you mentioned. I mean, is the event section that could be causing this issue.
Yeah, as you have seen the cycle of donations, each time you, for example, you donate to DAC, one entity in the
Yeah.
donation collection is created. When you delegate that donation to another campaign, another is created, and the amount remaining on the previous one becomes zero. And after you again delegate the donation from campaign to some milestone, another item is created in database, another record is created on database, and the owner of the new one is the milestone. The previous one
Yeah.
belongs to campaign, is remain on the database, but the remaining amount becomes zero. I
Oh.
think that events are again processed, and they again make the donations to the milestone. You deleted last one, but the previous ones again is in database with amount remaining of the zero.
Okay. So you're talking about the parent donations, right?
Yeah, parent donations. Yeah, I'm tech.
Uh, that
Yeah,
will make sense.
actually,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I think if you have not deleted the other 92 records, can we cannot shoot it by hand. Actually, we can find something automatically or some script. But if you have not deleted them, we could find the parents and make the remaining amounts again with the value that should be.
Hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what it should be. But so that's one of the things that I thought while I was trying to fix this issue. Just getting the amount of the pound donations back to the amount that it was. Actually, I did that, but what happens is that there is something that is reverting those donations back to 0. So I put back the amount. Let's see. For example, I think I commented on this yeah, on the issue here. This is the two pledges that that still have money on it, and are wrongfully recorded on the database. So, for example, if you want to take a look at a pledge, you go to my crypto here. You click on custom. And hold on. This is just making sure this is the this is actually the contract. Oh yeah, I think it's when yeah, so this is the liquid pledging contract proxy. So this is a proxy that handles all the events, things like that. What we want to do is just copy this, and on the implementation, if you go here on the liquid pledging and you go scroll down, you're gonna see the implementation. The implementation has what we need is the ABI. So here's the ABI. You just copy. You go back to my crypto. You paste it, and you scroll down on the read contract, get pledge, and I see 4587, right? That's a pledge that still has money that is not reflected on the Mongo database, right? So we see the amount that is like I think it's 14,000, and the owner is the Common Stack campaign. If you see this number right here, it's 1402, and it says that the owner is 1402. So that's great. And well, we need to take a look at the donations of the Common Stack campaign now, right? So let's take a look at that. This is all the donations of the Common Stack campaign. And if you see on the Mongo database, it says pledge ID, right? What we need to do is we need to find the pledge ID that we just scanned, the 4587. So 4587. Here's 4587, right? But this amount exceeds the $2,000 that are here. So this is not the one I should be looking at.
Is amount remaining?
Or probably it is actually 4587, right? So this is, if you see here, 4587, and the pledge ID is 4587. It was a donation of 1,000, and well, if you modify here the amount remaining, and you get it back to 14,
Yeah.
You just click save. And we go back to the common stack. Well, first we need to reset the feathers. So I'm just gonna go ahead and reset feathers so it syncs up. Oh shit, my password. I'm gonna reset feathers. Okay, so now you will see it's coming back up again. And if we refresh this website, it's now 20. it's now 20K on the current balance, right? So that seems to be fixed, but if we wait some time, after like 1 hour or 2 hours, this amount gets reverted to what it was, the 11,000. And that's what's weird, because it's not doing it on the restart. If you restart the database, I mean the server right now, it will not happen. We can restart it again, and we will still have the amount. You see, the 20 is still there.
Yeah.
So there is a process that Feathers does that is resetting back the amounts, and I don't know which one is it. Actually, look, it happened already. So there is a process that it's happening that is just is getting this amount back. I'm not sure which process is it. But starting with the events, I think I see two transfer events with the same values here. Well, no, now transfer, yeah, transfer and transfer address, block, transaction hash, log index, return values 57, 87, 57, 87. So there is a duplicate event here, but I'm not sure if this is like, this could probably solve a little part of it, but I'm not sure if it will solve the whole issue.
We should find some relation between events and milestone.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we can take a look at the code here. Let's take a look at the repos here. We can search for events. The thing is that it's we can take a look at the services here. For example, there's an event service on the feathers. Here's the hooks, but it's not. It doesn't look like it. I was taking a look at some. If you go into blockchain on the Feathers repo, you will see pledges.js, which is the one in charge of processing the transfers, things like that. But but it's very hard to find something in in here.
I can, if you are busy, I can check this code and share with you what I find out.
Yeah, I think I will definitely as well. I mean, that will be greatly appreciated. I mean, if you see something that is related to events.
Okay, I will make it clear that how events are related to donation and to donates and milestone and respect to you to solve to see what we can do.
Yeah, of course. I'll try to do the same thing as well.
Thank
But
you.
I'm pretty sure it will take some time. Yeah, but I think we're making some progress on this. For some reason, it stays on that amount, which is not that bad. Hopefully, it doesn't get that low, but let's see if we can get this solution, right?
Yeah. Thank you for your information and collaboration with us. Thank you.
No problem. I really appreciate you guys here. I don't know if you guys have any last questions or anything you guys want to comment.
Not really. Thank you. Thanks for including me on this and taking the time. I mean, I was just wondering if it is a low connectivity issue. I mean, could it be that, I mean, like there's like a socket.emit, obviously, like in the browser, and I wonder if it doesn't get a response, does it just keep emitting because it doesn't get a confirmation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in this case, like I wonder, like whatever is receiving this event, I don't fully understand how this works, but whatever is receiving this socket event, if we could have some kind of check to make sure that there's not repeat transactions coming in. I don't know. I mean, or some way of logging to figure out what's happening. Because I mean, if I understand correctly, this is intermittent, and we can't recreate this, right? So we need to like maybe improve our logging in case it happens again or something. But that's about all I can contribute, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we definitely need. We already have a like a planned situation for this. We're trying to implement atomic transactions for the Mongo database. That's definitely needed. We're going to work on that as soon as we clear the top priorities. We want to start working on atomic transaction system that prevents this kind of situations, low connectivity, things like that. That is definitely going to happen. So yeah, as you said, James, that's.
What does atomic transactions involve then? Is it like that there will be no update to the database unless there's a confirmed transaction on the blockchain?
That is correct. Yes. Well, basically, if there's an error, it should not modify or create anything. Any kind of error that, for example, there's a value that is mismatching, or the transaction didn't go through, or anything related to an error, it should not advance with the code. And that is a simple, I think that's a simple term, but atomic transactions, I think, is like a little more correct, because we're doing a transaction and it needs to be atomic. It happens or it doesn't happen, depending on the factors that involves. So yeah, thank you for noting that. That's definitely going to the
thank you
very, very soon. Yeah.
Just last one. We should prioritize the problem, the bugs that have major problem under Giveth and the app. And maybe we can continue with our users with this current product if we can solve the key functionality problems. And maybe if the app 2 is not goes well, the app 2 scenario writing from the scratch does not go as well, we can, if we could keep the 1.0 in a good state, maybe we can continue and make it work for a long time. Just that. as we could
Yeah.
prioritize and know that what will be solved in order to keep it as a good solution for our users.
Right.
Exactly. I
Like,
completely agree. That will be awesome if everything works flawlessly. Whew.
so
That's
there would be no need for sunset, you know, for retiring the project.
Right.
exactly. I think if it works flawlessly, there's a good chance that it. I mean, that we can just put like a beautiful uh, decoration on top, like just change the UI and make it better. But the whole functionality, if it works flawlessly, there's no reason to change it. If we can use the same core to administrate a new UI, and that's it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Thank you, Andrea.
No, thank you guys, and I hope you see you very soon. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Hope to
See you
see you.
later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, James.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.